शुद्धचित्तः शुद्धबुद्धिः विरक्तो नृपादे पदे तुच्छबुद्ध्या परित्यज्य सर्वं यदाप्नोति तत्त्वम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि। दयालुं गुरुं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं प्रशान्तम् समाराध्य मत्या विचार्य स्वरूपम् यदाप्नोति तत्त्वं निदिध्यास्य विद्वान् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि। यदानन्दरूपं प्रकाशस्वरूपम् निरस्तप्रपञ्चं परिच्छेदहीनम् अहं ब्रह्मवृत्त्यैकगम्यं तुरीयम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि। यदज्ञानतो भाति विश्वं समस्तम् विनष्टं च सद्यो यदात्मप्रबोधे मनोभागतीतं विशुद्धं विमुक्तम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि। निषेधे कृते नेति नेतीति वाक्यैः समाधिस्थितानां यदा भाति पूर्णम् अवस्थात्रयातीतमद्वैतमेकम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि। यदानन्दलेशैः समानन्दि विश्वम् यदा भाति सत्त्वे तदा भाति सर्वम् यदा लोकने रूपमन्यत् समस्तम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि। अनन्तं विभुं निर्विकल्पं निरीहम् शिवं सङ्गहीनं यदोङ्कारगम्यम् प्रपञ्चः तदा न स्फुरत्यद्भुतं यन्निमित्तम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि स्वरूपानसन्धानरूपां स्तुतिं यः पठेदादरात् भक्तिभावो मनुष्यः शृणोति गवा नित्यमुद्युक्तचित्तः भवेद्विष्णुरत्रैव वेदप्रमाणात् भवेद्विष्णुरत्रैव वेदप्रमाणात् There's one correction in verse number 2, second line. Yadapnoti tattvam nididhyasya, it should be, it's printed as nididhyasa, but then nididhyasya usya, instead of sa, usya, it should be nididhyasya vidvan, yes, vayye, instead of yasya there, yes, vayye. And the second verse itself, first line, there is a Pathaveda in some readings. Dayalum Gurum Brahmanishtam Prasantam Samaradhya. Our reading has Madhya. Another reading is Bhaktya. Bhaktya. Bhakti. Bhaktya. The reading is there. Verse number 8. Yadananda Sindhau Nimagnah Puman Syat Avidya Vilasa. It is the is there, correct? But when we split, take care. Yadananda Sindhau Nimagnah Puman Syat Avidya Vilasa Samasta Prapancha. And the second line, the Pataveda Tada, our reading has Naha. Naha with Visarga. Another reading is without Visarga. Yada tada nat spurat yadbhutam. Without Visarga. That is the Pataveda. You will see the meaning with the Pataveda also. We will see the meaning. Okay, verse number 1. Tapo yajna danadivihi shuddha buddhihi. In this verse, the sadhaka who has Shuddha Buddhihi, purity of heart, that is mentioned. A sadhaka, and also the one who has Vairagya. Vairagya is given, and Tyaga, Parityaga is mentioned. So, Chitta Shuddhi, Vairagyam, then Parityaga, these are indicated for the sadhaka. A Vedanta sadhaka gradually gains these values. That is Chitta Shuddhi, Vairagya, and then Parityaga. And these are indicative of the other sadhanas, what we see in the Tattvabodha and other texts. Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. Sadhana Chatushtaya. Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, Iha Mutrartha Phalabhoga Viragaha, then Samadhi Shatka, and then Mukshutvam cha. This Sadhana Chatushtaya is indicated in this verse by the word Virakta and Parityaja, these two words. Shuddha Buddhihi, Tapo Yajna Dana Adivi, Shuddha Buddhi indicate the Bahiranga Sadhanam, Karma Yoga, etc. They are indicated. we notice that, we see that Karma Yoga is presented, is understood as the Bahiranga Sadhanam, external means. And then Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam, these are seen as Antaranga Sadhanam for Jnana. Again repeat, Karma Yoga, Upasana, these are Bahiranga Sadhana for Vedanta Jnanam. And Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam, and whatever that is related to that also is Antaranga Sadhanam. Antaranga means close, that is the direct means for Jnanam, closely related to Jnana Prapti, gaining wisdom. That is Antaranga Sadhanam. And then whatever that is done more as a preparation for the sadhaka, that is called Bahiranga. Preparation, readiness, eligibility. We see various words. Eligibility, right, for Vedanta Jnanam, or preparation or readiness for Vedanta Jnanam. That is for that Bahiranga Sadhana, and that too Karma Yoga and Upasana, these two are the sadhanas. All that is mentioned in the text, in the scripture, in the book, can be brought under these two, Karma Yoga and Upasana. They are Bahiranga Sadhana. So both are necessary. It's something like this. Suppose somebody is hungry, and then eating food is the Antaranga Sadhanam for removal of hunger or for the satisfaction. Eating the food is the Antaranga Sadhanam. Bahiranga Sadhanam, cleaning the plate, right, keeping the plate clean, and the sitting in a place and all that. No, and that's all the Bahiranga Sadhanam. One gets prepared for the Antaranga Sadhana. That is the Bahiranga Sadhana. Like even when we come to class, we dress up and then we come. Dressing up, etc. is the preparation, and then coming here and then learning is the Antaranga Sadhana. So Antaranga Sadhana, Bahiranga Sadhana, the twofold sadhanas are mentioned in the first verse. In other words, the Mumukshu, the Adhikari is indicated in this first verse. Also, there is one Swarasya in this verse, these verses. Each of the verses, Param Brahma Nityam Tadevaham Asmi, the refrain repeats in all the verses, except the last one, except the ninth one. Interesting. So in all the verses, the Param Brahma Nityam Tadevaham Asmi, Param Brahma Nityam Tadevaham Asmi repeats. That is the final goal. Remaining or being Param Brahma, this is the goal of this Vedanta Sadhana. And that Brahman I am is the wisdom, that which one ultimately owns. And it is only for that sake the sadhaka takes to all the gamut, the group of the sadhanas. And therefore, the final goal in mind is always repeated, like at each step. Now it's more or less like a step by step, the sadhaka is proceeding in one's Adhyatma journey, Yatra. Adhyatma Yatra, one is pursuing, and at each step, the final goal. In each verse, the final goal is reminded. So, keeping that final goal in mind, this person takes step by step, goes step by step. That is the Swarasya of this repetition of this Param Brahma Nityam Tadevaham Asmi. Like even when we travel, say we travel to say Delhi, we are traveling by a car or something, and then we keep saying, now Haridwar has come, Delhi is only some 200 kilometers away, and then then we cross this Roorkee, then we say Delhi is about 160 kilometers away. Then we come to Muzaffarnagar, we say Delhi is about 120, and then we come to Meerut, Delhi is about 70 kilometers. Then Ghaziabad, Delhi is about 40. In each step, we remind like Delhi is only that much. Delhi is the place where we want to reach, and at each step, each stage, we remind the final goal. That keeps the travel straight towards the goal. Okay, so therefore, this Param Brahma Nityam Tadevahamasmi is repeated at every verse. So that is the final goal is repeated. At each stage of the pilgrim's progress of the spiritual yatra, Adhyatma yatra, there is this, the final goal is reminded, Param Brahma Nityam Tadevahamasmi. Swarasya is there. Okay. So the first verse talks about the Adhikari here. What does it say? Tapo yajna dhanadibihi shuddha buddhihi. Whose buddhi, whose mind is shuddha, is pure, rendered pure. What is the purity? As we have seen, freedom from a lot of the mala inside, raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, ityadi, etc. Impurity is what obtained within abhinivesha. Also, the clinging, as we say, the clinging. This in the Yoga Sutra, they mention Pancha Klesha. They talk about avidya, asmita, avidya, raga, dvesha, asmita, and abhinivesha. They talk about this fivefold klesha. So these are all klesha, not only klesha because they are also impurities. So one who is free from these impurities, Shuddha Buddhihi. What are the means for purifying oneself, for one's own maturity, growth? Tapaha, Yajna, Dana. Tapaha, as we have seen yesterday, the austerities, the penances, whatever that one wants to follow, whatever one can follow, takes to this tapas. Where there is, one deliberately keeps away certain comforts, or what one thinks a source of comfort, keep off some source of comfort, and also keep off some source of supposed happiness also. That is a tapaha. Thereby a person is able to dwell with oneself, not distracted by the want, the sense of wants, desires, tapaha. Thereby one can see one's sense of one's well-being even in the absence of comforts or the source of happiness. One is still alright, one is still contented, one is still alright. Even without comforts, I am okay. One is able to discover that intimately. This is one big advantage of this tapaha. Right? I can remain without this comfort, I am still alright. Right? The human being, as the person gets used to comfort, we get used to, suppose I get a new comfort. Say, for instance, this takiya, okay? This pillow was not here a few days ago, it was not there. Then I was sitting like this, okay, without the backrest. Now, since a few days, I have the backrest. Now I lean on it. And then suppose one day it is not, it's missing, no? Then I look for where it has gone. Okay, where has it gone? So I get used to this comfort. We get used to this comfort. It's all right. Okay, so much so good, no problem. Not a big problem. But then, without the comfort, I feel that I miss something, I lose something. I am not okay without a sense of comfort. That sort of, I get habituated to the comfort. What's the problem here? It is, I was alright without this comfort also, I was okay earlier. Now, with the comfort, I have come to this idea thinking that this is necessary. This comfort is necessary for me. That is, I have converted a comfort into a necessity. See, this is what the human being does. Convert all the comforts are into necessities. I should have this, I should have this, should not have that. This is the problem. When I convert a comfort into a necessity, then I get into a certain problem. Without that, I am not okay, I am not comfortable, etc. What does tapas do? See what is necessity as a necessity and see a comfort as a comfort. Right? A comfort is something without which also I am okay. Necessity is something without which I cannot be okay. That is a necessity. Okay? A necessity is something without which I cannot be okay. I need that. But comfort is something without which also, even without that, I can still be alright. That is the comfort. Now, if I go on adding to my list of necessities, I add on the comforts also into my list of necessities, and in fact it becomes endless. Right? I can go on adding one comfort. They see the 2 pillows are enough, not enough. Why don't you keep one more pillow, third pillow? 3 are not enough. Why don't you keep one this side? And why not one this side? Suppose I want to rest my head. No, keep one. That's all. 5th one also. Go on adding on comfort after comfort. I convert them into the list of necessities. Okay, this is the problem. And then if I miss one or more, then I feel I am not okay. I don't feel comfortable. I am not happy. This sort of feeling, a sense invoking. When I convert a comfort into a necessity, then I am ready to invoke the dissatisfied at any moment. Without that, I invoke the displeased, dissatisfied, uncomfortable, wanting me. Okay, this is the problem with converting comforts into necessities. With tapaha, what does one do? Dispense with the comfort and see that you are still all right without that comfort. Dispense with the comfort and then see, so that I can see it as a comfort, I can dispense with it. That is to say, even without that, I am still fine. This is a discovery, and that is, I intimately know, I intimately understand for myself that without that also I am fine. That is one benefit of this tapaha. That's why one deliberately denies. It's not forced on me, it's not, hey, you sit without the pillow. Then it is forced on me. If it is forced on me, I revolt. I resist. I revolt. No, I will have it. I want to have it. I start resisting, revolting. But then, when I choose to do myself, then there is no revolt. I don't revolt against somebody's decision thrust on me. That sort of idea. So it is willfully, by my own will, I see myself without a particular comfort and still find that I am all right, I am fine. This is one benefit of this tapaha. Okay. Then, yajna. Yajna is, as we saw, the offering the prayers to the gods, various, the Ishvara in various manifestations, in various phenomena, appreciating that. And we are always connected to the sum total. The total we are always connected to. Like even the clay, the pot, my good old pot, is always connected to clay. Never can a pot exist, right, unconnected to the clay. Always it stands connected to the clay. The karyam is ananyat. Na anyat. Na anyat. Anyat means other than that. Karyam karanat na anyat. The karyam, the pot, the effect, cannot exist other than the karanam. Karyam karanat na anyat. Cannot be without being the cause. Cannot remain away from the cause even for a moment. So karyam is always connected to karanam. This body, this mind, these are all karyam, and they are always connected to their own karana vastu, right? And by a parampara, by what do you call that? Ultimately, it's all connected to Ishvara all the way. All the way I stand connected to Paramatma, Parameshwara. And this yajna is an appreciation of this abiding connection, existing connection. And not only I am connected to Ishvara, every entity is connected to Ishvara in the same way or very much a similar way. I think Mundaka, it says Araha iva rathanabau samhataha. Mundaka, I think. Like unit imagines a person, sir, the wheel of a cart, okay, with spokes, and there is a hub in the center of the wheel, and then all the spokes are connected or inserted or connected to the hub. Okay. So like even the spokes are all connected all the time, connected to the hub. If they lose the connection with the hub, then they cease to be a spoke. That's all. They are not a spoke anymore. They are just a piece of iron or piece of wood. That's all. It is not a spoke anymore. So all the spokes are all connected to the hub. Like even that. Ara means a spoke. Ratha nabi. Ratha chakra nabi. To the hub of the wheel. Samhataha. All are connected. Like even all the spokes are connected to the hub. So too, every being is connected to the Paramatattvam, the Parameshwara. So yajna invokes this appreciation of the connection, the abiding connection, the invariable connection with the Paramatma, with Parameshwara. That is the yajna. And this is expressed through various Devata forms. When I say Indraya Swaha, Varunaya Swaha, in an yajna, when I say that ultimately is to Paramatmane Swaha only. We have on this traditional prayer, when in the Sandhya Vandanadi, the evening and morning and evening prayers we have. Akashat patitam toyam sagaram yati pratigacchati sarvadeva namaskaraha keshavam pratigacchati. Akashat, from the skies, patitam, fallen, toyam, water, rainwater. Like even all that water drops which falls from sky, from the clouds, akashat patitam toyam, what happens to all that? Sagaram pratigacchati. All the drops go towards water in some form. Like some are absorbed, but then finally they also go to, in some way later on, they reach the ocean. Sagaram pratigacchati. So to Sarvadeva Namaskaraha. Once Namaskara to various Devatas, all goes to Namaskara, all go to Keshavam pratigacchati. All goes to Keshava, the Paramatma, Ishvara. Therefore, when I do Namaskara to Hanumanji, I do Namaskara to Paramatma, Parameshwara. When I do Namaskara to Ganesha, I do to Paramatma. When I do Namaskara to Gangaji, Ganga Mata, I do Namaskara to Paramatma. When I say Namaste to you, my Namaskara also goes to Paramatma. Ultimately it goes to, that's where it goes to. So to Yajna, when I offer to Indra, Varuna, Soma, etc., Agni, etc., all that goes to Paramatma. Therefore, Yajna can be seen as an expression, a deliberate expression of the appreciation of the abiding connection. This is yajna. In fact, this is puja, this is everything. This is puja, this is yajna, this is homa. All the puja that we see in the temple, that we do in the temple, and all the homa, yajna, etc., that we see, havan, all these are all expression ultimately of the appreciation. You appreciate that it is there. You express your appreciation. Like when you say, you smile, give a smile, and you say thank you, and then you give a flower. The giving a flower is an expression of your saying thanks, of your warmth, your care, your friendship. No, you give expression. So, appreciation, an expression of the appreciation of the abiding connection with Parameshwara. That is yajna. Okay. Then dhanam. Dana is an expression of fullness. I am full, I am satisfied, I have enough. That buddhi, that thought when I have, then I can share, I can give, I can share. Sharing what one has, sharing what one can give, right? This is dhanam, charity. Giving to whom? Giving to the needy, those who need that. Okay. So by dhanam, I discover my fullness within. So by giving this away to someone who need, I don't lose anything. I am still fine. Right? Give 10 rupee, give 1 rupee, still I am okay. Give away 1 vastram, still I am fine. Right? Still nothing has, I have not been lost. Nothing is lost upon me. I have given. In my fullness, I can give. And also there is this empathy also is there. If I were to need something, suppose I were to be hungry, how? And then how I will be looking for food? Will I get food? How will I make food, cook food, or will I get food? And someone gives me food. Come on, have this, sir. Eat this. Take this. Share the lunch with me. Suppose someone gives me food, how I would appreciate that when I am very hungry. When I am very thirsty, somebody offers me a cup of water, right? How I would appreciate that. When I am very sick, then somebody offers me a medicine which will help me, which will cure the sickness, how I will appreciate. So too, others will appreciate that when they are in need, if I can help them, then it's an expression of one's empathy for that. Dana. So, and other means tapa, yajna, dana, and other means all that is mentioned in the Shastra, mentioned by the gurus, great people. Tapo, yajna, dana, divihi. By this, one's buddhi becomes shuddha, right? Free from the shackles, fetters of raga dvesha, predominantly free from the fetters of the chains, binding chain of raga dvesha, the limiting chain. Therefore, one becomes free. Also, tapaha, yajna, dana, these are the well-known means for purity. In Bhagavad Gita itself, it mentions yajnena, danena, tapasa. Right? What is that? Yajno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Yajnaha danam tapaha cha eva. These three are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Yajno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Pavanani, purifiers. These are purifiers. Yajnaha danam and tapaha. In the Atma Bodha also, in the first beginning, very beginning, tapovihi kshina papa anam. By tapas, by various tapas penances, who are free, who are pure within, who have become pure. Kshina papa, the papas are all kshina, emaciated, gone away. Therefore, these are purifiers. Tapaha, yajna and dana. And what way they purify? They purify in the sense that one is free from the threefold afflictions, adhyatmika, adi bhautika, adi daivika afflictions. One is free from the afflictions. How is one free from the affliction? Ultimately, free from the sense of being afflicted. I am afflicted. I am subject to affliction. This is the root for all the afflictions. When I say, I am suffering, this is the karana for all suffering. If I do not have the notion, the idea that I am suffering, then there is no suffering for me. Right? I am sad is the source for all sadness. I am dissatisfied is the source for all dissatisfaction. We saw the other day, atriptaha na tripyati. We saw, right? If I invoke that atriptaha, dissatisfied me, if I invoke, then I will find dissatisfaction only, right? Abiding dissatisfaction. That will be the predominant thing. Dissatisfaction, dissatisfaction, dissatisfaction. I meet with you, beginning as a dissatisfied self, and then talk to you at the end of it, dissatisfied. And then beginning of doing something, before I do something, dissatisfied, I did something, at the end, dissatisfied. Therefore, this atriptaha, one who cannot see the tripta in oneself, will not be satisfied. Remember the bottomless vessel, no? Bottomless jug, bottomless cup. We are trying to fill a bottomless cup with the waters in the 7 seas, 7 oceans. Simply they cannot fill. Look at this. Very interesting. A cup cannot be fulfilled, cannot be filled by the oceans, the waters in the 7 oceans. Keep on pouring, never. So much water, even 1 cup cannot be filled. Interesting. So anything you give, anything is common. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Ye dil mange more. There is an advertisement for the Pepsi Cola. Pepsi Cola, no? Ye dil mange more. This heart wants more. Ye dil mange more. This fellow gave some 20 rupees and 30 rupees bought one bottle of this Pepsi or Pepsi Cola or Coca Cola, and then this fellow drinks, and then dil mange more. Because it is emptied, bottle is emptied, but then dil mange more. This heart wants more. Ye dil mange more. Okay, so atripta. For this, the root of at the root of all this dissatisfaction, these afflictions, is the notion of being afflicted. Bhoktrutvam. The bhoktrutva is at the root of all afflictions, and kartrutva, bhoktrutva, kartrutva is the root of all the afflictions. Therefore, this adi bhautika, adhyatmika, adi bhautika, adi daivika, tapas, threefold afflictions that a person may face. Behind that, this is there. I am afflicted, this notion is there. But then, as one practices this tapaha, yajnam and dana, then one can see the freedom from the notion, from that notion of I am afflicted, aham dukkhi, right? Aham atriptaha, I am wanting. That notion one can see glimpses of oneself being free from that. That glimpse of being free from the notion of being afflicted. Okay, I am afflicted. When I have a glimpse of that, the freedom from that notion, then I relish. Yeah, I was free from that. Then what happens? Then I am free from the affliction. I can see myself free from being afflicted, free from dukkha, free from dissatisfaction, free from sadness, free from this unhappiness. I can see frustration, all that longing, all that I can see myself as being free from such notions about myself. And then I nurture that. This is very much to my liking, seeing myself free from such notions, the shackles, the crushing burden of all the notions. I am free from that. Then I discover a freedom, and thereby I can nurture. I relish it, I like it, and I see that is my purushartha indeed, and therefore I habituate, I grow, I cultivate, I nurture these values in me. A different set of view about myself I nurture. Thereby I become free from the afflictions of adhyatmika, adi bhautika, adi daivika tapas. Tapaha is predominantly seeing the freedom from adhyatmika tapas. Tapaha. See oneself being free from adhyatmika afflictions. Tapaha. Then danam helps one see from the freedom from adi bhautika, one can see predominantly. And then yajna can see for the afflictions from adi daivika tapas. So we see the threefold tapa: Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika tapas. One discovers the freedom from this by tapaha, danam and yajna respectively. Yatha sankyam anudeshaha samana. In place of ik, yan letters. In place of Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, for replacing that, tapaha, danam and yajna. These are the predominant means. Of course, there is overlap. There is overlap in all this, but then here there is predominantly I see the freedom from Adhyatmika, etc. Tapo yajna danadibihi shuddha chittaha. When my mind is relatively pure, then it can have a clarity. When I am pure, the mind is pure, then it has a clarity, swachhata. There is a clarity is there. There is a peace. There is a calmness. Peace is there. Shanti. I can see the Shanti in myself. I can see myself as Shanta. And then calm. Okay. Clarity. I have clarity. Thereby, I have inner space. I have a much wanted inner space. Thereby, I can look at things more objectively. Right? More objectively means see a thing in the way as it obtains. As it is, I see a thing. I don't add anything in my own notion, out of my notions, my own fancies. I don't add anything to a thing, nor I take away anything what is due to the thing. Okay? I see a thing as it is. What it can do, what it cannot do. What it is not. I can see a thing as it is. This is called objectivity. Seeing a thing as it is. When does it happen? Only when I have inner space. The space within. I feel free within. I have the freedom to look at things objectively. No? Not like in the horse, no, we put that what is it? Blinders. The horses, they put blinders. So that the horse can only look in this direction, not elsewhere. So it's not distracted. So blinders. That's only an example. Okay. So instead of looking at a thing with having an all-round vision, I am forced to look at in this way only because of the inner lack of space within. So then I can look at only this. That's the pressure within. Because of the pressure within, I can see a thing only in this way. Suppose I am very angry with you. One of you say, suppose I am very angry with you, and then the moment you come up, you stand before me, the red button, and then anger wells up. Suppose I am so angry with you, then the very sight of you invokes the angry person in me, right? Which burns me, which I am unhappy with, etc. All that is there. Therefore, this is the pressure within. Then I don't have the inner space. I cannot look at you. Free from anger, I cannot look at you. That's the inner pressure within. That is, I have no inner space. No, I envy. Suppose I am greedy, I envy you, say. I am jealous of you, I envy you, say. Okay? Then, when I look at you, the jealous person, the envious person is invoked. I have no inner space. Then I will not look at you as you are. I will not look at. And therefore, when I will not relate with you also in the proper way. I will not relate. Therefore, the inner space which is wanting, that one finds when the mind is pure. This is the Shuddha Buddhihi. The inner space is there. I can look at things objectively. When I start looking at things objectively, what is that? I can look at what is meaningful and what is not meaningful. What is useful, what is not useful. I can clearly look at what is meaningful and what is not meaningful. I can see. Then, earlier, when I didn't have the inner space, that my thinking is clouded, and then I cannot see what is meaningful or what is not meaningful. I cannot see clearly. This is what I want, that's all, full stop. I want to bet on this horse, full stop. My hands are itching. Race horse, okay? My hands are itching. Saturday race, Friday, Saturday race, the Derby. You bet 1 to 14. Goodness, okay. If I cannot bet on the horse, no, then I feel forced to that. No, what is meaningful, what is not meaningful, I cannot see. If I don't have the inner space, the space within, if I don't see the freedom within. Therefore, what is meaningful, I can see. What is important, I can see. The Viveka I will have. Meaningful, not meaningful. Important, not important. All the Viveka I will have. When I have that Viveka, then it is possible for me to choose what is meaningful, what is important, what is relevant, what is proper. That is Vairagya, Virakta. Viraktaha, a person of Vairagya, dispassionate I become. Dispassionate means I can see what is important, what is meaningful, what is proper, right? All that I can see. Also, I also see what is lasting and what is not lasting, what is permanent and what is impermanent I see. That is the Viraktaha. Okay? So, Shuddha Buddhi can have Viveka. Viveka, otherwise it will only a namesake, it will be there. Words will be there. I may have the words. Viveka I know. Ihamatra Palapurartha Vigaga. And then Nitya Vastu. I know that. I will have the words, but it's not become part of me. So therefore, that happens only when the buddhi is Shuddha. My heart has a freedom within. That is when it is pure. Therefore, Shuddha Buddhi leads to Viveka, leads to Vairagya, Viraktaha. And here it is an indicative. Virakta is given. Nripadehe Pade. Where Virakta? Virakta with respect to what? Dispassionate with respect to what? With reference to Pada, the position. Pade, even with reference to a position. Pada, the position. Of what? Nripadi. Nripa is king. So kingship, etc. Emperorhood, kingship, etc. Even with that. Nripa adege pade api tuchha buddhya. Tuchha is trivial, very trivial, not meaningful. No innate worth anymore. That is the tuchha buddhya. By the understanding, buddhi, by the understanding that it is trifling, it is trivial. What is trivial? You don't care for. So triviality is worthless. Why don't Ganga you can see all the some shining flakes, flat pebbles, some of them are there. It has they say mica content or something. So some flat stones, small stone. And they will hold against some light, very shining, like silver, like gold and all that. I go on collecting this. How old are you? I am 65. What is it I am collecting? What for? Just like trivial collecting. My point is this: trivialities. Trivials do not attract. No, that do not occupy your mind. That's what they say here. Trivial things should not occupy my mind, my energy, my cheer, my enthusiasm. Trivial things should not occupy my mind. Trivial should remain trivial only. Trivial should not be converted into the most important thing in my life. Okay? Children, when they have balloons, okay, and the balloon bursts, and then the children cry. The child cries, kid cries. Oh, what happened? The heavens have fallen. The earth gave way under my feet. The earth gave way. What happened? Balloon burst. You can't You can't console a kid. No, it's very difficult to console. So important for the kid. No, balloon burst. There is one anecdote here. It's variously said. Akbar and Birbal. Okay, the Birbal was a courtier. He was a minister in the court of the Sultan Akbar, Delhi ka Raja, Delhi Sultan. Akbar's courtier, Birbal. This Birbal should come to court on time and all that. When the Sultan is in chair and in the throne, and then the court is in session, the king's court assembly, and then Birbal comes late, regular for the past 1 month or 2 months. Birbal comes late, and then Akbar noticed, Sultan noticed that, and then 1 day, 2 days he tolerated, and then after a few days, after quite some days, he asked, "Hey Birbal, why are you regularly late now?" Then Birbal said, "Sultan, I have to take care of a baby at home, so I have to console her and then take care of my baby." What taking care of a baby? Does it take time? Is it very difficult to console a baby? It's only a baby. Sultan, I will demonstrate. I will show how difficult it is to console a baby. A kid, I will demonstrate. Come on, show me. It's very easy. It's very easy to console a baby. Said Sultan, I will play like I will act like a kid. You act like the mother or the father, the parent, okay? Then you try to console me. Okay, I will do it, no time. Then Birbal lies down and starts crying. Birbal cries. Hey, come on baby, come on honey, why do you cry? What do you want? Then there is one sugar cane is there. Okay? I break that can into two, break into pieces and give it to me. And then the Sultan, the father, breaks into pieces and then gives to the kid, and then still the kid does not stop crying, continues to cry. What baby, what do you want now? No, make it one again. Join them all one together again. Do that. No logic, do it. I want the cane to be put together again. Make it. Then Sultan accepted. Yeah, I understand, accept that. It's difficult to console. They call hata. Bal hut, they say. Balon ka hut. Hut bolte. In Tamil they are adam. Hut. Okay. So, this mind, when it has this hut, like trivialities, when I am attached to that, then I do. But then, when I discover what is important, then trivials do not occupy my mind, my energy. There are things which drain one energy, right? Unfortunately, we do find some trivialities drain our energy. Okay? Our time, our energy drains. It should not happen. It is not the correct thing to happen. Something trivial. Right? Suppose I am in an office and there is another fellow sitting next to me, and then that fellow keeps something on this desk. On his desk, the fellow keeps something. I don't like it. Right? And then every time I look at the table, I get irritated. It's not your table. It is the other fellow's table. Let the fellow keep on the other fellow's table, and that's something, some object, that's all it is. So just let it be there. So I lose my what do you call it, composure. I get irritated when I see that. That is what I lose I get upset. That's what happens. I lose my energy over trivialities. This does not happen when I have vairagya, when I have the clarity about what is trivial, what is important, what is meaningful, what is proper. Here, Nripadi Pada, even that, I don't see it as important anymore. Right? Nripadehe Pade Api, even in that position of the Adi, by the word Adi, even Indra, give you the Indra position of Indra. You will be the Devendra. That's not what I am seeking. Tuchcha buddhya is an idea that it is not important. That's not what is being sought. This is very important to know. Vairagya means this is that. Is there a connection between what I want and what I am doing? What I want as the final goal, okay, not immediate goal. I want money. That's not to be counted as the goal here. What is it that you want finally? What is it you are seeking? That is what I am seeking. Purushartha, Nishchaya. And then what I am doing. What I want and what I am doing. You see the connection. Is there a connection there? If there is a connection, yes, what I am doing leads to what I want, right? Leads to my Purushartha. Then there is connection. You see the connection, then what you do becomes meaningful. Otherwise, there is no connection. I want this, but I am doing this. I want to go to Ganga, but I am going this way, other way. There is no connection. Lack of connection between what I am seeking and what I am doing. You see the connection, and then you clear about what you should do and what you should avoid. Okay, that is vairagya. That is dispassion, and that is indicated here by nripadehe pade tuchcha buddhya. Even with reference to that, kingdom is not what I am seeking. Kingship is not what I am seeking. Power and money and fame, this is not what I am seeking. I am seeking something very within, something meaningful, lasting. These are all ephemeral, these are all fleeting. I am not after the fleeting things. I have seen enough and more of what is fleeting. But fleeting I am not seeking. Therefore, tuchcha buddhya viraktaha. Out of this tuchcha buddhi, viraktaha. Then parityajya sarvam yadapnoti. Parityajya, giving up the sense of I and mine, ownership. I own this, this is mine, this is I, this is mine. Giving up the sense of ownership, actually. Parityajya sarvam yadapnoti, gains which. And what is that? Param Brahma Tattvam. Okay, the verse goes on. We will continue in the next class. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Shishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.